I was shocked to learn at Can-Am's 2025 new model intro that the XMR alone accounts for almost 50% of total Can-Am big bore ATV sales. That is a lot of XMR 850 and 1000Rs. It therefore came as no surprise when at that 2025 new model intro, where we were introduced to the new Outlander G3 platform and its 101 horsepower 1000cc engine, we were also introduced to an all-new G3 based big bore XMR in both 850 and 1000R flavors. Now, all new seems to mean different things to different people. To Can-Am, at least in this case, it means an ATV assembled with 95% new parts. All G3 Outlanders are based on the same chassis and engine, including the XMR, but as you sort through the G3 Outlander lineup, you'll find different combinations of parts on different models to help separate them from each other. What's interesting is that I'm not just talking about the usual stuff like wheels and tires and gauge packages. I'm talking about mechanical stuff like power steering, brakes, differentials, radiators and fans, and many others. There are differences between the 850 and 1000R models, and there are differences within the 850 and 1000R lineups themselves. The XMR is a model all unto itself, and it includes a long list of mud-specific features and upgrades aimed specifically at making it the very best mud-specific ATV this industry has ever seen. Today, I want to take a look at what sets the XMR apart from the rest of its G3 siblings. Then, I want to talk about the unique approach Can-Am took to get the 2025 XMR to where it is today, and why that unique approach has netted a vehicle that, I think, will exceed the expectations of any rider who spends most of their time buried in the mud. The heart of the 2025 XMR is, without a doubt, its 101 horsepower dual overhead cam V-twin engine. This is the most powerful engine ever shoehorned into a factory ATV, both in terms of horsepower and torque. The clutches are also new. With BRP's legendary P-Drive primary and the all-new roller secondary, the transmission on the G3 XMR is smoother, backshifts faster, and is easier on the belt than any that's come before it. Like XMRs in the past, the 2025 model includes lower low-range gearing than any other Outlander, and this is extremely important for both keeping the wheels turning and protecting your belt when things get really deep and sticky. Furthermore, a brand new tire was also developed by XPS specifically for the new G3 XMR. The 30-inch Swamp King XL features a deep lug with a cupped sidewall for excellent traction in both mud and ruts. A continuous lug design also helps keep sound and vibration at a minimum when you're on the trail getting to your favorite mud spot. The new G3 chassis has gone away from Can-Am's trailing arm rear suspension in favor of more traditional double A-arms out back. The lower A-arms are arched front and rear to help with overall ground clearance, and 10.8 and 12 inches of travel is damped by a set of Showa aluminum-bodied preload adjustable shocks. Can-Am's amazing Visco 4-lock front differential comes standard on the 1000R, and both the front and rear diffs now feature spiral bevel gears. Like the standard Outlander, the new G3 XMR features a long list of rider assist features that are adjustable right from the handlebars. Tri-mode DPS, 3 intelligent throttle settings, 3 engine braking settings, and 3 differential settings all allow you to tune your Outlander to handle exactly how you want it to on the trail. Another notable change for 2025 that is standard on both 850 and 1000R XMRs is 4-position braking. This new setup is extremely powerful, has great feel, excellent modulation, and doesn't chatter like the old 3-position setup did. As I said earlier, this new G3 Outlander XMR 1000R gets a long list of mud-specific upgrades and features that you won't find anywhere else in the Outlander lineup. The front rad relocate, engine and clutch intake snorkels, XMR-specific front bumper with winch mount, rear rack, raised foot pegs, aluminum handlebars with J-hooks, and a center grab handle are all designed to improve performance, handling, and reliability when riding in extreme conditions and set the XMR models apart both functionally and visually from the rest of the Outlander lineup. If you were going to build a mud-specific ATV, you'd obviously want an excellent team of engineers to help design it. That makes sense. But if it were me, I'd also want to consult some professional mud riders to find out what they think a mud-specific ATV should be and how it should perform and what features it should have. This is exactly what Can-Am did when they called on 2 of the most well-known and talented mud riders, Dustin Jones and Ostacruiser, to test the early G3 XMR prototypes and give their feedback. What I think is the coolest part of this whole story is the fact that after Dustin and Dave had ridden the early versions of the G3 XMR, they had some suggestions for important, and in a couple cases pretty significant changes, and Can-Am actually listened and made those changes. Now I got a hold of Ostacruiser to get his first-hand thoughts on what it was like to have a direct influence on the 2025 XMR and how that final product actually works.
We're the end user when you look at it. We ride these things every weekend. So to be asked on any sort of level on the input of changes and tweaks they could make, it was overall just a freaking awesome experience. What was really cool is I was invited down about 18 months before release, and they really wanted our input on several things about the XMR. So I'll say I had a small part, but it was a very, very exciting part in the overall development of the new XMR. So the conditions we were riding in, it was very, very cool. It was almost like a secret location. It's like a Can-Am testing facility in Florida. They have a water section for Sea-Doo craft, and then they have this whole mud section. So it was trails with deep mud holes, but the overall facility, it couldn't have been a better match for this. It was deep clay, like we had it buried so many times. So the entire experience, even just to be asked to come down and give our input, it was freaking thrilling. We got down there, the whole front and the whole rear was just fiberglass. So they really wanted our input on what tweaks and changes they could make. So the first prototypes, their performance, I want to say they were 90% dialed. The drivetrain, the clutches, the diffs, all that was all completed and ready. And after our first loop, we got back and engineers wanted our kind of immediate comments. The very first thing was, I could not believe how smooth it rode for an XMR machine. They're usually sprung very rigid and really doesn't give you the best trail ride. But I'm telling you, these new G3 machines, they ride like no other XMR to date. So we really wanted the most accessibility to the rad for cleaning. And for the rear, we wanted to be able to strap down as many link accessories as we could, but we needed handles, right? When you get stuck, that's one of the little bit of drawbacks to the Renegade. There's nothing to push on when you're stuck for your buddies to push on. So we're like, with Outlander, I'm like, let's put as many handles as we can. They watched us ride and they watched us sort of water wheelie, and you just instinctively put your foot back up on the rear rack. It helps with balance. And they took that, what they seen, and they just made a really nice integrated foot hold for you on the rear rack. So stuff like that, which is very cool. Shows they're listening, shows they're watching. My very first ride on it, I was blown away on the performance. I was blasting the ruts as hard as I could. I wanted to push this thing as hard as I could, and it just ate everything up. To me, it's a very confidence-inspiring ride just because of how well it handles and how well it soaks up ruts and stuff. It doesn't pogo you around. It just seems to eat that up. The overall facility, it couldn't have been a better match for this. It was deep clay, like we had it buried so many times. The new clutches on the Gen 3, no belt chirp. It was like having full aftermarket clutches. Really nice low gear, and those clutches, like I was rotating. You couldn't really even see the tires. They were buried so bad in clay. And as we're winching out, I'm just feathering the throttle, getting the tires to move and winch straight out. Never smelled belt, never heard a chirp. Having the engineers take our input and actually make changes really shows that Can-Am is listening to, like us, we're the end user. So I don't think I can oversell it. How I feel about the new Gen 3 XMR 1000, best performing, best riding, easiest handling, the power steering, it is the best XMR Can-Am has ever built.